I'm really interested in this idea of fear, of sort of the, let's say that we do launch ourselves into this space and we've got a blogger or we've got a community involvement on some website, and we actually start getting comments. I get this a lot from my own clients who know they need to be in this space and want to be, they think, but they really don't, as you were saying, they don't really know what to do with the results. They don't know how to leverage it, but also they're kind of afraid of the results. They're afraid of the comments that they're going to get back. They're afraid of that feedback, and they don't feel that they really know how to deal with it. Is anybody in the room dealing with those kinds of issues right now?
Well, I was working at a big ad agency, and I had a client who I was trying to get to do a corporate blog. And I, from the other side, was trying to help them negotiate. I mean, this was a big corporation that really was interested and realized how well this fit with what they were doing in every way, but really had to get over. And I was actually surprised how openly they did embrace it. Of course, we had a lot, I mean, it's been about a year and the blog still is not up, but we're really close now. They really embraced it and were really excited about it. But of course, there was a lot of talk about legal and negative comments and all of that. So I don't know if any more specific information, but that's kind of the summary.
Can you talk a little bit about how you've tried to alleviate some of those fears?
Yeah, one thing that I thought yesterday was interesting in the case studies is when you looked at each of those case studies and what they were saying was that you're really looking at a group of companies that were able to take the risk, and I think that in some ways it's not how you get over it, it's that you're the type of person or the type of company that can be a risk taker. Now, that said, the company that I'm working with is not a risk-taking company. I don't know how this is happening. I think it's just, and there's also the necessity. People realize that you have to. You have no choice but to do this now, especially if it's something that really fits well. I mean, I did a big presentation. I said, this is what this is going to do for you. A lot of it was I talked about Google and how this was going to get them really help blogs really help get you up higher in Google. They're spending millions of dollars on Google search words right now, so that was a big thing for them. Yeah. Yeah, I did. I did have meetings with lawyers, which is funny because I was a creative and a copywriter. But one of the things that I thought was incredibly interesting is that they have chosen to do unmoderated comments, totally unmoderated. Nobody has to approve a comment. And the reason why is that if you moderate your comments, you're tacitly approving them. And if somebody were to come on and say, oh, your product is so much better than your competitor's product, they're responsible for that false statement, basically. So that was one legal learning thing that I thought was really interesting. I did not want them to have unmoderated comments, but it's kind of cool that there will be, so.
Yeah, it's always interesting when lawyers opt for less control. So weird. Yeah.
I can give an example of my firm does the social media program for Sony PlayStation, and I think it's challenging for a couple of reasons. One is that it's a lot of content, and it's also a Japanese-based company, and we work with their U.S. subsidiaries. So what we did is we knew where we wanted to go in the end, but we started very small. Just kind of dip your toe in the water, and we created a blog around just a specific title. Then we worked our way into a community-based platform for the entire product for the Sony PlayStation. So I think the lesson we learned was get people really comfortable with the concept and the idea and then slowly build it. We knew where we wanted to go, but we knew that would not sell from day one, so we had kind of a phased approach to building it and selling it up the food chain, and that worked really well.
And how did you measure the success of that in order to parlay it further? Did you track traffic? Did you tell us about that?
The The beauty of something like the gaming world is they're all online. That's where they live. So the concept wasn't difficult because that's where their customers are. So starting with the title, we found interesting ways to engage. Like we made the content really interesting. So we started with SOCOM, the Navy SEALs game. So we would bring in people like the developers or actual Navy SEALs would guest blog, and we had a lot of people. We engaged the community from day one. And so what we could do is we could just track traffic and downloads and links and blog rolls that we were on. And then as we expanded the site, I mean, the biggest coup was being listed on the like MTV cool sites to watch. So we just really just the numbers alone spoke for themselves.
Yeah.
Hi, I work for the March of Dimes, so you all know what we do, right? We're all about babies. Actually, what we did is I started blogging in Spanish first. So no one knew what I was doing. So I just, okay, so I just like, one day I went to work and I'm like, bueno, let's just do this blog. So I've been blogging personally for a long time, and I just sat at my desk one day, went to WordPress, and I said, okay, nacersano.org, fine. And they said, you have a blog. And I'm like, sweet. So then I called my bilingual staff in, and I'm like, okay, ladies, we have a blog. So this is what we do. And we just set it up, and I just did it totally into the table, and no one knew. And then I got called on the carpet, because then our vice president of eBiz said, Bev, do you have a blog? I'm like, oh yeah, I started this blog and, I could take it down. I'm like, no, but we had good numbers. We got 7,000 hits overnight the day we launched it. And can I just say for everybody, if you are in a community, do not think that the Latinos are not online. Huge. Our Spanish blog rocks. We get 50 comments every day. Every time we post, we get a comment. We get comments every day. Stuff on old posts. So I started out in Spanish, and now, okay, the hesitancy in my organization is now, you want to do it in English? Now, okay, so now the challenge I have is that everybody wants to be involved, because we were rocking in Spanish on the blog. So now everybody wants to have their finger in the pie. So now we need to do team blogging, and all of the communications and writers folks are involved, and then the mission folks are involved, and everybody's involved. And this has been going on now for a year.
Wow.
So my Spanish blog has been up for a really long time. English, we're, getting there, but there's a lot of fingers stirring the pot there. So that's been my challenge.
I love that, flying under the radar. You have your own agenda and you just make it happen. Folks up at the front of the room, can you talk a little bit about, have there been issues around, now, you're actually putting a project into place and you've got people blogging, and in reality, what issues are there that might inspire fear, and how do you deal with those? Do you get comments from people who are very negative that you then have to deal with?
We have open comments where people can just post comments. We only take comments down if it's slander, libelous, just really, really totally rude, off topic. If it's off topic also, like if it's just, this doesn't go with this at all. But, and that's in our terms of service. But everything else we leave. I mean, as a matter of fact, one of the things we plan on doing, we plan on having sponsored groups. And a sponsored group means that a company like Toyota can sponsor a group. So we have to sell Toyota on the idea that people are really going to be honest here. And you have to be ready for this. We'll see how that one goes. But because we're not going to take down if someone says, well, I have a hybrid and the hybrid doesn't, it wasn't really worth it for me or something. We're not going to take that kind of comment down. Just no way, because that's a person's opinion, right? I think companies have to understand it adds legitimacy to the efforts they're making to connect to communities, right? So we'll see how that one goes.
So really what you're saying is the risk is worthwhile.
Yeah.